Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to This Week at Bungie on the Road. Today we have it. May 22nd is the return of Vault of Glass, and with it returns the weapons and a somewhat familiar experience. All right, they go into a little bit more detail about what World's First race is going to look like, as far as all of that when it drops on the 22nd. So you know what you got to do. Get your team ready to go in and run through all of that stuff. I'm going to go over everything in just a second, but first, you know the drill. Here we go. Hey guys, thanks for checking out the video so far. Make sure you watch it all the way through. Helps me out a lot on YouTube. Also, make sure you click that like button too. If you want to come hang out with me live, I do stream over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Roads of Silence. It should show up either above or below me here. You can catch me there maybe once a week on Tuesdays after resets on Destiny 2. Right now I've been doing those streams. If you want to come hang out live, have any questions or anything like that you want me to answer over there, get my, pick my brain about something, catch me over there. Also, I just recently, got my merch in. It's kind of cool. So I'm back up here. Lurking Army merch is available right now. All those links will be down in the description below if you are interested in getting a hoodie or a mouse pad. I'm gonna put that little clip up here. You'll see that pop up on the screen too. So if you want to check any of that stuff out, go click the links, and I shall see you guys in a minute and let you get back to this video. So, like all World's First, everybody's gonna be fighting for that thing over there, that nice little title belt here, and to pay homage to the original team that finished the original Vault of Glass first. Their name is going to be on the belt, as well as the team that finishes Vault of Glass in 2021. The belt looks pretty sick too, if I do say so myself. So here's the stipulations with what World's First is going to be like. All right, first off, you have to clear Vault of Glass with the contest mode activated, and it will give you access to the challenge mode with the Triumph Tempo's Edge. Now, some small little details here that they gave out on the TWAB was pretty much that it kind of sounded like that you had to finish the raid twice, which it might just be phrasing within the TWAB. I don't know here, but it sounds like you have to finish the raid once to unlock the challenge mode, and then once you unlock the challenge mode, you come back and have to do the triumphs to complete the World's First race successfully. All right. Now, one thing they did point out here too is that at every single encounter, you will wipe if you do not complete the challenge for said encounter. So this is why they said the race will be slightly different. They're not going to change up the raid too much for anybody outside of just the fact that they're going to have these implemented challenges in place that you need to complete, which I think is pretty cool. Can't wait to see what they are. Hopefully they get that all situated and fixed up. But again, like I said, I hope that it's not just go in. I hope you don't have to beat the raid twice. It just sounds like it from phrasing, and I hope they clear that up. Another side point too is that they also make sure to mention that Venus will not be accessible. You will only be able to log into this as load into this as a separate activity. So remember that. Okay, so next up we got Sandbox changes. This is a very, very, very long list. I'm gonna try to illustrate and show you things over here off to the right, or my right, your left, get it, video. Okay, so first up we have a damage fall off is being talked about just for a brief moment to get you to understand that anything mentioned about damage fall off is really just relative to the reasons behind some of the changes. So for instance, why the changes are going to be made and how, and the reasons behind they're being made. All right, and they start off saying that, meaning that or breaking down what damage fall off actually is, which is, damage fall off happens is adjusted based off of hip fire damage fall off. So when you shoot somebody from the hip without ADSing, that damage is the damage that they take and adjust. They do not adjust the zoomed in or ADS damage of a weapon. All right, so keep that in mind. When you see those numbers when somebody's ADS'd, those numbers are not indicative of what the actual change affected. Okay, those just apply and help benefit the change of the base damage. Okay, moving on. First up, we have the precision auto rifle archetype. going into weapon changes and things like that, talk with all technical mumbo jumbo. We're going to be going over some numbers here. So the precision auto rifle archetype, the 450 RPMs, are getting an increase in damage from 17 to 18 to increase the time to kill to fall in line closer towards their other variants. And this is one of the 450 auto rifles right here. The Braytech Werewolf, which some of you should be familiar with, comes from the Halloween event that comes by annually. All right, it's one of those 450 auto rifles. So the TTK is getting pushed up. So that means we should be seeing these hit into Crucible a little bit more. Hopefully, maybe not. They're pretty fine in PvE content. No big complaints there, but those changes are getting pushed to that. Linear fusion rifles are up next. We'll now have their precision damage increased by 15 and the reserve ammo increased by 20%. This is to try to push them so that they are being more used within PvE content. They are not the best options at this current point in time when in PvE, mostly because of the reserve count as well as the damage that they do. Now for ad clear and things like that, they work perfectly fine, but outside of that, they do not really help out for like boss damage or anything like that. They do a decent chunk, but it wasn't significant enough to be like, hey, I want to use this over another heavy like a rocket launcher or something like that, or just for variety's sake for like in-game content like GMs and things like that. They weren't really a big option. So hopefully they get pushed into that role with this little bit of a buff. All right. Fusion rifles with low stat ranges are getting a buff to their start off distance, which is for no effect on 100 range stat from at 2 meters. Okay, this means that the non-high impacts, they can compete with non-high impact fusion rifles. So as you can see, this one is from the Garden of Salvation raid, if I'm not mistaken, the Zealot's Reward. It is one of the few low stat fusion rifles that just isn't in any lane when it comes to a high range stat fusion rifle. This one has a low range stat, as you can see on the screen here. I'm kind of blocking it, but this one has a range stat of 30 compared to something like a Gallant Charge, which I have right here as well, which has a high range stat of 58. Clearly the Gallant Charge will outbeat the Zealot at every single angle and be a better option. So now the low stat ones have a chance. Next up, we're going to be talking about perks. Perks that are getting some touches to them are starting with Subsistence. Subsistence is getting a nice little beef up from 10% to 17%, allowing things like SMGs to have the same kind of ammo count as auto rifles. All right. Also, the reserves will no longer be reduced when activated, so that's a plus. Hey, right? All right. This is the perk here on this particular SMG, which is the Icolos SMG. You can get that from the randomly, actually, not from anywhere specific now that I think about it. But yeah, this is one of the ones. Also, I believe the Death Adder might have this roll on it. Don't quote me on that though. But yeah, Subsistence will now not take from reserves. Okay, it will not reduce the reserve amount of your ammo, and it will also have more. You will also get more from SMGs, so more damage, or more, I mean more bullets for SMGs, just like ARs, which is a plus because SMGs really got hit. Like it just felt like it didn't benefit SMGs very well here, and I think this change actually now should help them, especially with the ammo reserve not being depleted as hard. Next up, we have high impact reserves and under pressure. I don't have a roll of anything with under pressure on it because I just don't use the perk at all, but I guess now I could probably start doing it because the perk now activates as long as the conditions are met, meaning it's just triggered when you hit that lower part of your reserve in your magazine. So meaning when you get close down to the end of a magazine. So for this particular gun, bottom dollar hand cannon, I believe when you hit roughly around like 5 bullets, it should start to activate. Somewhere around that 5 or 4 is where it starts to activate about half the magazine at that point. But for other guns like auto rifles or LMGs or things like that, this definitely should start to activate the closer you get to those lower reserve counts. Case in point, in like PvP with like an LMG, and you pick up that 1 brick and you have about 30 shots. High impact reserves should be active on that no matter what. It should no longer just activate on impact. It should now just activate right from the get-go. Okay, as long as you've met that low reserve amount. Next up, we have Unrelenting. Unrelenting is getting a nice little beef up here. This is one of my favorite perks in both PvE and PvP, mostly because it's a crutch. All right, so for you who are dealing with going through some hard content, your low light level or low power level, as it is in D2, and content seems a little bit hard, health regen is one of your best friends. Any health regen perk or stat that you have that can benefit you in any way, shape, or form is your best friend. So Unrelenting is one of those. Okay, rapidly defeating targets triggers the health regen, and guardians and powerful combatants count as more than one kill. So in PvP, plus side there is you get a guardian, you kill a guardian, you get your health back. You start to get your health back a little bit here. You kill 1 or 2 guardians, you get your health back, right? In PvE, you multi-kill a couple of targets, you multi-chain a few different people there, a few different enemies, you start to get your health back there. It now has been increased to what they say 20%. It should be healing you at 20% now, which is a plus, man. Again, like for any hard level content that you're doing out there, this is now probably a perk that can be thought of to be useful in instances of that. So if anybody doesn't really have a really good role of something, case in point, like if let's say Unstoppable is one of the mods for champions these days, this thing now activates when you're shooting at a major immediately. So that being said, hey, hit this major with that, boom, I get my health back if I defeat this major with this pulse rifle. Again, if it's on another weapon, see the benefits there, right? So moving on to the next one. Okay, so next up we have one of the most unique and most situational perks that are that's very dependent upon your loadout, and that is Sympathetic Arsenal. So for those who don't know what Sympathetic Arsenal is, reloading after a final blow will also reload your old weapons. Now, where does this come in handy, you might ask? Well, in situations where you have things like an Izanagi's or a weapon with Vorpal damage that could be caused, right? Or damage perk. For Izanagi stuff, it'll let you automatically reload the weapon even with having the buff. Okay, and it will retain the buff when you do it. So that way reloading doesn't really hurt you too bad. All right, that way you can shoot your weapon, swap to your Sympathetic Arsenal weapon, get the kill, finish off the kill of little ads, switch back to your other weapon, and you will now have the reloaded perk in there for, i.e. for Izanagi's, and it will be activated. This also works in contention with what's it called, the Borealis, that sniper rifle, the one that switches elements. So it's actually really good with that one, since they fixed the ionic damage perk. I forget what it's called, but yeah, this works great with that. This is getting a nice little buff there. So now it grants plus 20 to the reload in addition to whatever the primary effect is. Obviously is with giving the final blow, making it reload the stowed weapons. So this is a very situational perk, very unique. I highly suggest you try it out. It's actually pretty fun when you get to using it. I know I have this roll here on this sidearm brass, the attacks. This is from this season. I know it's on a few select weapons too, so that's another piece of it. This isn't on every single gun. Not every gun rolls with this. It's literally probably about 9 guns. Some that are here, some that are not, some that are really hard to get, and some that are extremely easy to get, i.e. Stars and Shadow, very easy to get from PvP, is one of the weapons that has this as well. A few shotties have it also, so I would suggest going for this one. You guys might like it. Definitely recommend it. All right, next we have Dragonfly. Dragonfly is a precision kills, creates an elemental damage explosion, is getting small buff. Not really even a buff. Its utilization is becoming a little bit wider now. It now works on heavy shanks and servitors. Finally, you know what that feels like, to shoot a servitor that's surrounding a whole bunch of little baby ads, and you get that precision kill on it with a weapon that has Dragonfly, and that servitor just fades away. Well, now that servitor is going to go boom, top of what they fixed at the beginning of this season to make it activate a lot faster. So it activates a lot faster, and it works on heavy shanks and servitors. Plus side all around. This is my absolute most favorite perk in the entire game. Okay, I don't like any other perk. I mean, I like all the other perks, but this is my favorite perk to use all the freaking time. All right, showing off my Nation of Beast here because I've had this gun since Last Wish. The first time I got it, first drop was this curated roll. I'm bragging. Get off me. Okay, so we have the Iron Banner perks: Iron Grip, gaze, and reach. I only have a gun that has iron grip. This was one of my first ones that I got. It was the forward path, the auto rifle. And when I first got it, I fell in love with this role. It was the first one I masterworked. It was a pulse monitor and iron grip. Okay, so what iron grip does, or what these perks do, they basically give you a huge stat bonus to one stat at the cost of another, right? And the cost was really high in the beginning, but they felt like that these stats, the stat penalty for the secondary stat was a little heavy, so they reduced it a little bit. All right, it went from 40 to now, from -40 to -30 now. So instead of you being slapped all the way, you get slapped by like 90%. Like, not that bad. So we'll see where these stand when we get these in our hand, and we'll just see where it is. Okay, so for these next two perks, Osmosis and Elemental Capacitor, I don't typically keep guns with these two perks, mostly because they don't genuinely benefit me, because I have guns that, in my opinion, for my play style, I have guns that fall into the rotation that I want. And these two perks are kind of another set of unique perks, almost like Sympathetic Arsenal, that they're just unique in their specific use type, right? For Elemental Capacitor, you can use that for benefits based off your subclass, which will highly affect you in PvP. I'm not a heavy PvP player, so for me, I don't go as far as to mid-max with that kind of setup or loadout, but it could be advantageous for you if you are a PvP player and you want to, mid-max with something that will give you bonuses based off of your subclass, right? As well as for Osmosis. Osmosis is one of those unique cases to where if you are, and it's primarily on kinetics, right? Kinetics don't have any element type to them, but with Osmosis, you can apply an element type to that weapon based off of your subclass, right? So, and I believe it's based off like a reload or something like that. Whenever you reload, you're able to activate it or something of that nature. I'm not too sure. Forget what the perk actually does, but they both are getting some changes. Osmosis is finally getting the stasis as an effect, so now you'll be able to do stasis damage with weapons, on top of there being some stasis weapons possibly coming in next season 14. All right, we've been getting mentioned into those. We don't know what they are yet, but it is coming. All right, so this is add-on on top of that. So now we will be able to have primary guns utilize the stasis damage effect as well. And with Elemental Capacitor, you are now getting some buffs to that, where it's now adding the stasis element to that, and it'll grant you recoil direction and reduced ADS movement penalty. So I think that's kind of cool. Like that one there, right there, actually kind of makes it's ironic. Ironic because stasis frees people in place, and they have a removal of movement penalty when you're ADSing. I find that funny, just a tiny bit. The recoil direction doesn't surprise me at all, because we didn't have that before in any other parts of the perks for like Solar, Void, or Arc. So makes sense. Like it. Let's go on to the next. Okay, so next we have No Distractions, right? Now, No Distractions helps with flinch, or not being flinched. When you ADS for a certain amount of time, you're basically hard scoping, it activates, and it helps reduce the incoming flinch from when somebody's shooting at you from a distance, right? And it's supposed to allow you to keep your stability shot going when you're trying to hit that headshot. It now triggers at 1 second from 1.5, which I'm hoping makes some form of a difference, because I have this Succession sniper rifle here. Something just said hold on to it, not because it had the Rampage perk, but also because it had the No Distractions on it, and I felt like this could be useful at some point for when I'm doing DPS on something, just laying into the shots, since it is an aggressive frame sniper rifle and has very high damage on it, but the recoil is very crazy as well, right? So now you might be thinking like, well, that shouldn't affect that. It's not going to affect your stability, but you're still going to have that big recoil. Yeah, sure. But if the boss is, or something is smacking me, I shouldn't have too much flinch happening to me while I'm trying to do my damage to it, right? So with that, the flinch reduction is 30%. It is going down from 30% to 35%. And again, like I said, I can see this being helpful because of the type of, given the type of situation that you might be in when utilizing this. Now for PvP, Again, this may or may not help you hard scopers. This might actually help the people that's not hard scoping. This might help quick scopers like me. Like, I typically don't spend as much. I try not to spend too much time ADS and down a sniper rifle sight. And when I do get the shot going, I kind of flick shot. So this might actually help me stay zoned into my shots and maybe get a second shot off after getting the first one. All right, next two perks are from basically trials. Celerity and bottomless grief. These changes have been talked about in other TWABs, the same as for Thresh. All have been updated and changed, but just a refresher here, bottomless grief and celerity are moving to a different perk slot, and they are getting the bonuses of plus 20 to handling and plus 30 to the mag on top of its triggered effect. And my bad, plus 20 to handling and reload for celerity, and then plus 30 to the mag on top of the regular effect of bonus damage, I believe, or bonus increased reload or something like that with bottomless mag. I can't remember what it is exactly. I don't have any guns with these perks, but those are already going to be in effect next season. Same with Thresh. Thresh is already in effect right now. Nothing's happening to it, but just a reminder, refresh, Thresh does work in PvP. So all of you who are saying it doesn't, it does. Stop saying it doesn't. Okay. Next up, we got mods. Adept Mag and Targeting both now have reduced secondary penalty stats, just like the Iron Banner perks. So they're it's going down from -20 to -15, and they are fixed, not granting the reserves to swords. Cool. Next, also Adept Counterbalance now actually has increased recoil direction benefits, so that is working properly. I do not have any guns with these current perks here, so we're not going to see those in effect. All right, exotics that are getting a little bit of a tune adjustment. Hawk Moon and Might of Multi-Tool. I do not have a Might of Multi-Tool, but this is my Hawk Moon. So with Might of Multi-Tool, they are converting the Outlaw perk into No Distractions, kind of similar of like what they did to Izanagi's Burden, which I don't quite see this being going very well over. And I kind of saw a little bit of Twitter before I started recording this video. A little bit of an uproar there. And then paracausal shots, as well as the I forgot what the other paracausal charge and shot are now showing up, have priority in the buff list off to the right or to the left of your screen. So hopefully they show up on the screen to allow you to know how many charges you have and when your shot is ready. All right. And then food for thought here. All right, so now all of these changes, they start next season and coming later into the season. They do have shotguns, fusion rifles, and Dead Man's Tale specifically under a microscope to make sure that they fall in line. Specifically with Dead Man's Tale, they are wanting to make sure that when the 120 hand cannon nerf happens, and they've confirmed that it is going to happen, when that actually does happen, that it does stay in line with that. Same with shotguns, with the change to quick draw. They want to make sure that the two most top performing shotguns right now, which I believe is Felv Winters and Astrals, they want to see how those perform and see that the usage gets swapped around. But again, if they need to adjust shotguns, they will. And with the fusion rifles, they just want to see where the ranges fall into play now that they're going to be upping the fall off for short low stat fusion rifles. So they're trying to make sure that everything is balanced for the playing field. Again, I've already seen some of the uproar going on about this. Not too happy about any of it either, but you know, we're gonna see what it is. Okay. Side note, yes, they did adjust. They will be adjusting the Dead Man's Tale so that it won't become a problem when fighting snipers or hand cannons at all from hip fire. So they made sure they are going to address the hip fire on the Dead Man's Tale. They've actually said they will be doing that to make sure that, you know, it can't compete just off of hip fire either. I do think that's kind of ridiculous. It's a scout rifle. You shouldn't be hip firing this thing and it just be tapping the crap out of people. Like, I've gone up against it. I think it's pretty nutty. All right, and that is pretty much all the heavy duty info in the TWAB this week. Reminder, yes, a hotfix went out today, hotfix 3.1.1.3. It went out today, fixing some issues with the bounties for Guardian games. Hopefully all you guys are having fun with that. and making sure that you can make sure you double check and go in and make sure that you can get your daily bounties and that they do refresh tomorrow at reset. So double check on that, because there was an issue where the bounties wouldn't let you pick up the bounties the next day. I kind of glanced over this one of these days that I was playing the game, didn't realize that was the thing. I did notice that the bounties were grayed out, and I just thought to myself, I haven't been playing a lot lately. It's just grayed out because I haven't completed them, so that's probably why they're still like that. But there was a bug, so that should be fixed with today's hotfix, along with some minor Eververse ornament thing, like, you know, some cosmetic issues that they fixed with a few ornaments. Okay. Like always, there are other bugs and related issues that are on the mark that they are paying attention to. If you want to know about those, you can go check out the TWAB itself and go to the known issues section over there. All the links for that will be down below in the description. Okay. Like always, everybody, thank you for checking out the video. I know it was a very lengthy, very long, a lot of information. They talked about a lot of things this week, all the way to the end. So thank you for watching the video all the way through to the end for me, and don't forget to check out the movie of the week, the movie and the artists of the week, and support them like you would support me, by following me on social media and following those artists and creators on social media as well, and liking and sharing and subscribing to this channel for more content from me specifically. All right, like always, thanks for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Peace.